to part 3 on our is it Cyanobacteria bloom? Is it an algae bloom? Is it a biofilm? And what's with Blackbeard? All of these sound absolutely horrible. This is day 21 in the treatment. I just released the video the day before for the last set of 10 days. And I think I've came up with a reason maybe why we're having the issues that we are having. If you guys remember, and I mentioned this in the video, the previous video, that I recently took out the lighting that was attached to the tanks themselves. I had a light on the front and on the back, and they were shining at a 45 degree. Originally, when these tanks were set up, this lighting was up here. They had their own lighting, and everything was on high, which has 4 settings, and they were on high. So I knew now, well, I know now why I was having such a bad time with the outbreak and the Cyanobacteria outbreak, which I had, which if you remember, the Cyanobacteria outbreak actually killed one of the entire, the nanobow that had about 6 or 7 very, very, very delicate little plants that were on the edge of surviving, but growing still. But it took over. If you guys haven't read my bio on the channel, I'm a flight attendant, so I'm not home every single day. A lot of my trips are, 3-day trips. Sometimes I back my trips up together, so I'm gone 6 days. So I don't get to pay attention to every single day. But the nano is gone. We have what's in the background here. This was my little hospital tank. This has nothing to do with the builds that we built here. This is from months ago when I first ordered some aquarium plants to see if I could grow it myself, grow them out, make them bigger, and save some money. And I was doing a horrible job at it. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was experimenting. And so now we came up with this. Well, it's been sitting under the direct lighting just like it was before. And I'm wondering why I'm having trouble with it. Okay, come on. It has to be moved. I have to keep moving it out of the direct light. So the small one here, which is for the Rosenvig Mini. And I noticed on the video that I told you guys that I had some melting. It was right under the lights too. I don't know what I was thinking. So I've pulled it out so it's not under the lights. The only thing that seems does not bother with the lights is the water sprite and one plant, which I don't know what it is yet, that I almost killed off from that first set like 3 months ago. It's coming back. It's planted, so it's not a boost and it's not an Anubis, it's something else. It could be a sword, I can't remember. I'll have to look back on my original order. But it's still doing okay. So what I did was with the Rosenvig, I went ahead and took all the water out. Now I had grown this out from an original set that were these other hospital plants, but this stuff here was growing amazingly well, immersed with soil in a humid environment. So I know that it'll do well with just a little bit of water and being able to take in its oxygen directly. I want to get these plants healthy and keep them healthy. I want this to be one of my staple plants. I love it. It's in every one of the Trinity series, whether it's a lot, 2, 4 or 3 or 4, but it's featured heavily in the Tree of Life, which is the Agumi aquascape that we've set up. So it's across it. Now I'm having trouble with it because I had to build up so much substrate. I used the clay pebbles to build the substrate up in the back, and I don't have very much aqua soil there, and I'm having trouble with the plants not rooting yet because this is brand new. This is just a week old. So they haven't been able to secure themselves yet. So we're having issues, kind of a little bit different issues with everything. But let's start back with the topic of today's video was the outbreaks and why I think that happened. So I've gone over the vase or the hospital tank, the smaller ones. They were sitting directly under the lighting. Even at half power, they're still right at that lighting. That means that light, the intensity is just right on top of it. And so every time you look up anything about to deal with, especially Blackbeard or any of the other little conditions that we're working on, it's directly related to excessive lighting, high lighting. And we are using full spectrum grow lights here, so we're not skipping on that. It's just been too severe for the plants because there's not much in there to absorb all that energy that's coming through, which is manifesting itself in the outbreaks. I want to talk about the blackbeard first. The blackbeard, now that I think about where it occurred right at the tip here, right inside. I pulled out these Anubis goldens to be able to clean because there was a lot of the slimy stuff in there. Pulled them out, and that's when I found the blackbeard. It was inside there. You would not have seen it. It was in there hidden. So I'm so glad I pulled it out because it would have killed those plants because it's a plant killer. And it was just on these two. It wasn't on that side. But look where it is. It's sitting right at the top where the lights would have been right on top of it, both of them shining in its direction. No wonder this broke out. So that's a no-brainer. So now what we've got here, I haven't measured this, but that's a good foot above where all the lighting was. So now there's no more of the high intensity lighting sitting right at the top of the tank. It's up here. It's playing dual role. It's going to be for the houseplants and also the aquariums themselves. So the lighting is a little different than what I'm used to. I need to get used to that because I'm used to having them really like bright, like even brighter than this one is down here. Now that they've got the black background. And by the way, some of you have asked about that. Yes, I changed out the backgrounds in all these tanks once I did the Agumi because I was so in love with how the black looked. To me, the black sort of like mirrors the image of what you have inside the tank, and it looks like it gives you triple the exposure in depth, if that makes sense to you guys. So it doesn't look like you're looking at before I had it white, it just stopped. Now, to me, it looks like it goes on further. So I think it also looks a little more sophisticated if I can go that far. That's just my original thought about how this looks. Now, I think these are a little bit too dark for my liking. I am contemplating putting something over the substrate. I'm so not happy with how my dwarf hairgrass is. I have a ton of it. Every time I move my wave maker that's inside here, it dislodges all my dwarf hairgrass. And I've read other posts where people said it's horrible when you're planting it in the aquarium soil because the soil rolls around. It just does. That's a heads up for you guys. If you are going to be planting something and you want to just go with the bare aquatic soil that's round like this is, that is an issue you're going to have. When you go in to clean your tank, you're going to be messing it all up. If you're going to have a wave maker, it's going to mess it up. So you can see the difference down here where we have with Tree of Life. I purposely put pea gravel on this because I was really not happy with how this looks. And the reason why my little Rosenvig tank here, and I'll show you a close-up in a minute, has sand in it on top of it, is I wanted to see what it looked like, and I don't like the way it looks either because the sand just kind of sifted through into the aqua soil. It's not just capping it, it like sifted through, so you don't see distinct layers. You see a blending of the sand going all the way through. So I'm not sure if I like that. So it's a good thing we experiment. Now in turtle, we've not really had any issue. There was nothing in here. I can almost with certainty say it's because this piece of hardscape came out of a fire pit. So it probably has nothing on it for this bacteria, the biofilm, to grow from. It's not emitting anything off of there. That's probably why this tank is doing so well. And then we get to bird on a wire. And this one is a little harder to clean because the bark is still really intense on it. So I have to take a legit toothbrush, not like a really, really soft, pretend one. No, I really had to scrub this. I was actually thinking they need to make little scrubbers for your fingers, like something you could put on your finger. So when you put your hand down in there, you could just scrub away. You really wouldn't even need a toothbrush. You could just use your hands to get that cleaned off. So I think that's where we stand. This one just has the biofilm on the wood, the biofilm and the blackbeard, nothing. Tree of Life has biofilm, not that much, but there's also not that much bark. And this is a completely different type of species. This is a shrub versus these were legit trees. A shrub that doesn't have the circumference and the age that these have. So what it's causing me to do now is, I have a tub here that I'm going to give you guys a shot of where I've already got driftwood sitting in water. I have another one sitting on my bar where I've got lots of pieces sitting in water, because going forward, I would like to be able to eliminate the tannins or greatly reduce it. So they're sitting in there. The trip I was just on, it was 3 days. It was time to change the water completely because it was starting to smell. So it's still getting its outbreak. I just don't want it to kill the plants in here. In the wood, that's fine, but it also, on a couple of pieces, was growing something that was at the top where it was still had access to air because these aren't covered. And it got this massive green, slimy algae all on the top of it. And so I rinsed it off, put them outside just to see if they'll dry. But these have been boiled and baked. Baked to get them to dry completely in the oven. So I'm not sure what survived a boiling and a baking that was growing up out of the top of the other tub. But so for today, now that I'm going to give you guys a look, we're going to do our water parameters. You're going to get the up close look, so you'll see this is what it's looking like on day 21. And then just like the other videos, if you've seen, I will post the pHs for each tank in a text box in the video, and then that's just how we'll keep in track of it, because right now I've got a couple of days off so I can play around with the tanks and see what I'm going to do. And that's how we'll update it from there. But now that I think I know what's happening, I think it gives me, or my omission of some of the things I should have been doing, I think it's going to help me a little bit better. So hopefully. All right, now you guys know I'm horrible with going live remote on this thing because it's so, I hate to make it look like you're like in an earthquake setting. So here is our Tree of Life. And now remember, in here we only have 3 plants. We have the Rosenvig, we have the Boost Aragon, and we have some Christmas moss. Here is where I am making sure, and I did a pretty bad job at gluing these on. I've had to glue some of them on twice. I don't know. I don't have the glue down perfected yet, so I'm working on that still. Here's the little bowl. You can see the melt in there. I added more plants to it yesterday. And the hospital tank, yeah, it's still cloudy, but now it has at least been taken out from under the direct sunlight, the direct light. And then here in the back, you've got whatever is growing in the bottom, that may be a sword, and then my water sprite, which keeps getting dislodged because I really cleaned the vase yesterday. All right, so here we are on Bird on a Wire. This is today. Yes, there is a hint of the film. And you can see how the house plants, I just have them sitting up there, just hanging out for right now, because we're not sure how any of this is going to stay. Here's Turtle. And look at that rattlesnake plant since yesterday, its leaves literally move all the time so they can find the most direct path to the light. My little Rex begonia, I really want that thing to grow. And here we are on Eden. So sorry about the light reflection, but so now that we've seen them, Okay, cool. All right, so let me get started on the pH and I'll give you guys some updates. Okay, so for our test results, everything lined up like it should be perfectly. And I will say, I always go to my water board. I see what my current pH level is. Right now, we're at 7.4. All of my testing here, according to the color, looks closest to what the only scale that's on the back of the API test kit is a 7.6. So I don't think I'm at a 7.6, but I go ahead and log it in as a 7.6. One of the things I did want to point out is where I had a difference in ammonia. So Eden here was at a 0.50, turtle 0.25, bird on a wire was a 1, kind of alarming there. Tree was a 0.25. The medical vase is a 0, and my Anubis on Driftwood was also a 0, and it got me thinking, I forgot to use this. This helps lower your ammonia when you're setting up a new tank. So I know I didn't use it, so I used it today. So hopefully that will help, because the ammonia is the one thing that you want to keep at a 0 if at all possible, because it becomes toxic to your fish. That is another reason why I am taking my time with these tanks, just dealing with the algae or the biofilm before we even introduce any type of a live inhabitant in there. I'm wanting to do shrimp in these tanks because they're small tanks, but I would like to have a school of fish in the tree of life. And what I love about this, and I was thinking about it, I was doing all the little water testing, I love a hobby that can create so many different little avenues for you to go down the rabbit hole in. So chemistry, biology, the cycle, the nitrogen cycle that we talk about, the algae, everything put together does make for an exciting hobby that you do not get bored with. And when it's beautiful, you can sit back and it's so relaxing and so tranquil. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this installment. This ends day 21. For the next few days, I'll just, every couple of 3 days, I'll repeat my testing of the water again, and we'll see what's going on. We're going to keep the lighting here at what is on right now, 50%. These don't stay on, the ceiling lights here. I don't keep these on, I only keep this on for filming. And then if it's nighttime and I need to light, I'll turn these on quickly, but I usually generally don't have anything on. And these timers are on 6-hour timers. So let's see if that makes a big difference. 6 hours, the lighting's been moved up higher. We should hopefully see a difference. And will we see a difference in the biofilm as far as it aggressively attacking our 2 tanks on the ends of the ship? So hope this has got you guys thinking. Are we on the right track? I hope so. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for the likes, subscribes, and most importantly, your comments. I do love your comments that you put in there. So you guys have a great day. I'll see you on the next video. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Aquascaping on the Fly. My name is Anthony, your host and content creator. So this is now going to wrap up our series as far as these are 3 videos now about the biofilm that we had in the tanks. Now remember, we had not only just the biofilm outbreak, we did have the Cyanobacteria bloom, which killed the nanotake, unfortunately, and I lost a lot of really high at-risk plants that I was trying to bring back up to being able to put them in a build. And then also we did find Blackbeard. And looking back over our numbers, it really and truly it was it was lighting. That's the easiest way to put it. The lighting intensity was high, and the lighting, if you remember when we started out, it was right at the top of the tank. It is just like the terrarium that's behind me. The lighting was right there. That lighting is attached inside that tank under its lip or the rim of it. And so with the lighting being on high and being that intense and that close, and remember I had 2 lights on it. It wasn't just one light shining on, it was one on the front and the back, shining in at a 45-degree angle. So it's no wonder that we had Blackbeard in one of the tanks, because that was in Garden of Eden. And in Garden of Eden, its wood structure does come all the way up to the top. It reaches the surface. It had the nano golden plants in it. The only reason why I found it is because I pulled the goldens out to clean around the top of it, and that's when I noticed that the Blackbeard algae was literally inside the opening, because it's not hollow all the way through there, but there was enough at the very top of that to where it was hollow. So it's a good thing I pulled them out, because I wouldn't have known it just would have killed the plant, and I wouldn't have known it was happening until I pulled the whole thing out. So I'm really thankful in a way it's kind of happened, because it taught me a really, really good lesson that when you're first starting out, that we really need to pay close attention to your water parameters and also your lighting and how long you've got the lighting coming on. So right now, all the lights now are on level 2, and they're on for 6 hours a day. And remember, so I've taken the lights that were on the tank. So I'm just using the strip lights now that are up above on the studio wall that's shining down. It was meant to be shining down on the houseplants that are going to be growing up out of the aquarium themselves. Right now, they're doing triple duty. It's strips that are just shining down completely. The only thing I've noticed, it is a little darker, just because I'm used to seeing them so much brighter. But then again, I remember I did change the background from white to black during this whole process, because I just like the look of it when I introduced the Tree of Life tank into the studio area. I thought it looked a lot better, and it has a lot more cohesive look with the other builds that we've done together. They all kind of look like on the same playing field as far as having similar characteristics with each other. So one's not standing out much more than another one is. But the big thing was really, when you're looking back on it, is the ammonium. That was a little more elevated, especially at the very beginning when we were having the really, really hard time. So it came down to cutting back the lighting, removing the lighting, shutting down the intensity of the lighting, and then regular water changes. Now, regular water changes that I kind of tweaked as one tank was doing better than the other. Remember, turtle has never had anything growing in it, but I think I pinpointed that in the video, that turtle also, his hardscape was found in a campfire. So it's been charred, meaning there's probably no bio to leach out into the water for the biofilm to be able to feed on. Now, I'm going to give you a screenshot so you can see what it looks like. I can tell you now we're at day 7, so we've been here a week at this level, And I'm just now seeing the stages of the biofilm, especially in bird on a wire. For some reason, that tank gets more affected than the other ones. It must have something to do with the wood that's in there and the ability of it to leach out easier. But as far as water clarity, they've all got water clarity. All the tanks look amazing as far as the clarity is going. I was really, really concerned about the 18-inch vase because it was having the hardest time recovering. And so I had to do more drastic water changes for it. And I don't know if it's because it doesn't have, excuse me, the plant growth that the other ones do. And I'm really, really surprised. I know you kind of can see them a little bit here. I've got 2 tubs sitting up here that I've got driftwood with plants on them. And I make mention in the video, you've already read about it, that I went foraging and I found new driftwood out there. Came back, boiled it, cleaned it, put it into the tubs, filled it up with water, and I've got, if you guys saw the video, I think it was a few weeks ago where I called it shark fin. Shark fin is something that I had worked on that I wanted to develop into a tank, and now I'm testing it out. Shark fin, which is now going to be renamed blackfish. Because I think it looks more like a whale sculpture than it does a shark. And I'm testing it underwater. It's not releasing hardly any tannins. I'm really surprised about that. Some of the wood I found on this last scavenger hunt, I found some beautiful pieces that had curves to them, but unfortunately I can't use them. They were already waterlogged, and I can't use them in an aquarium because they would just fall apart. So those are going to go in a terrarium. But I've got, I ordered some plants from Vase that I unboxed on a live video. So if you guys are teetering on whether or not where to get your plants from, right now I'm going to say Vase, because I've had probably the best luck with their plants as far as the size of the plant you get and the quality of the plants you get compared to, I had 3 orders prior with APF. And I'm going to say that Vase knocked it out of the park with their quality and the amount of plants that you get. It was a lot bigger. And you can see in that build, I take those plants and I put them immediately on wood structures and then put them into the water because I want them to get to the point where they're sinking already and starting to grow. I'm dosing that water as well. I've got a wave maker in each one of these because I know that now we've learned. And that's another thing we need to talk about. Even though we are doing no tech, I have always wanted to have water action in the tank because number one, when I'm in here, even if I'm watching television or something, there's just something very relaxing and very, dare I say, spiritual about hearing the water, the moving water. I mean, it's kind of like very therapeutic. And I've said before on videos, I'm extremely spiritual. I am a huge lover of nature, Mother Nature, and I'm trying to bring those both sides of my personality into the channel here, into the builds that I build. It's no secret that every time I've told you I find a piece of wood or something out in nature, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do with it. I get an image immediately. And I think that's probably one of the gifts that I have that I am using in this hobby. And that's why I felt very, very strong to create this channel, like compelled to create the channel for other newbies out there that would be hesitant because this can be an extremely expensive hobby to undertake, especially in today's economic times. And I want to show the opposite side of that. There is a way to go out into nature to get what you want. You don't have to buy the expensive stuff. If you've got the money and you want to do it and you want that fancy, really looking tank, go for it. But I'm trying to show a different point of view that we can do and get more creative with something we build on our own. So that's why I like to do my tanks from a DIY standpoint. And I hope you guys understand that. And that's the whole reason why. So that's also another step into why I'm doing no-tech tanks, is I want to be able to find that balance to where we're really creating that ecosystem and it survives on its own. Another reason why I'm glad, because I've had people mention this, hey, your tanks are ready for livestock. Absolutely not. I want to make sure that we get everything nailed down before we bring livestock in. Because number one, it gives you time to get accustomed to dealing with your enclosures and your builds and learning about the plants you have in there, learning if you like it or if you don't like it. I see a lot of people that go back and they immediately, after putting something together, they're immediately redoing it because they didn't like what they did. Just to give you like an FYI, you have access to my videos where I've done 2 full-on tutorials. I think one of the best ways to do your hardscape is to sit with it for days on end. So I don't have a dojo, but I did order foam for every one of my tanks in the beginning so I could put it down in the tank, and then I could put my hardscape in there and just look at it. And look at it every few days. Now, it helps me because if I go away on a flight trip, I can come back and I can see it fresh. I've not looked at it every single day. So then I can kind of know, oh, this needs to be tweaked or that needs to be tweaked, or no, I love it and I love this about it. So you can play around with it before you get to the stage where you feel like you got it planning. So I always say it's better to err on the cautious side and hold off on your plants until you get your hardscape in there the way you like it. And because if you're happy with it, that's all that matters. And then when it goes to planting, when I'm doing my ground cover, I start with ground cover, so just a little bit of water goes in. I don't fill it all the way up. I just put enough water for what I need in there. Like if I'm doing a plant that has to stand up, same thing. Add a little more water to it. So I can see the plants in there with water so that I'm not having to fill the whole thing with water, put stuff in there and make a big old mess. So I'm just gradually adding water to the process. So you guys that are contemplating doing this, just know, take your time, trust your instincts. I think now, as far as our biofilm, I'm not gonna clean it over the next couple of days still. I'm gonna let it grow out a little bit more. The last cleaning was rather brutal. I mean, I had to really drain the water down almost all the way out because I had to get in there and really scrub with the toothbrush to get the biofilm off. So I want to make sure that I have the access to doing that all over again. Excuse me. But that's kind of my takeaway, that I think we're under control. I'm loving the fact that the quality is amazing. And I think we'll just kind of play out and see how long it takes for the biofilm just to dissipate on its own. Now, in the tubs here, hardly any. I'm really in shock. One has more than the other. The only correlation between that is the color of the darker wood seems to leach more than it does. It's the same thing with Garden of Eden, with Bird on the Wire, and between these two. So I don't know if I hit on anything that may be the reason, but the darker wood seems to really do it. Because Tree of Life, which is a blonde wood, doesn't have that much as far as the biofilm. It's got it on there, but it just doesn't have that much. Thankfully, because that hardscape is way too clustered in there for me to get in there and clean it. It's just too much. I mean, even if I try to get in there with a toothbrush, I might break something. And so I'm just going to let it do its thing. And like a lot of people say, sometimes they don't even bother. They will put something in there that'll eat it. I'm not even going to do that. So if it's not hurting a plant, I'm okay. And then let's just keep doing our water changes. So I hope this helps. We've been doing this now for 20 days. So that kind of gives you a rough estimate. If you get an outbreak like we had here, remember it was right from the very beginning. So of course, when you first put the water in, it's going to take a few days for the biofilm to kick in and start to grow. So that's why I just don't want you guys to panic like I did, because I immediately went to Cyanobacteria. I thought, oh my God, that's it. Everything's going to die in there. I did have Cyanobacteria, but it was in another tank, and it was in what we call the nano bowl, which meaning it had the highest intensity of lighting and the least amount of water. So that's probably why it turned into Cyanobacteria, and it was not a biofilm. So I hope that all helps. And I want to thank you guys for watching. I really, 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 truly love the support. that you guys are giving me. I get lots of comments about my energy. And I appreciate that because I try to have the high energy and I try to get you guys excited and to get you motivated. And because to me, this hobby is just amazing. I mean, what other hobby can you have that you can evolve with? Your skill set can evolve. And there's so many little rabbit holes you can go down as far as your taste and your likes and your dislikes. So thank you for that. If you feel so inclined, give me a shout out. I want to let you guys know I'm on Blue Sky now. I've already got it linked also to Facebook. So if you ever have any questions, you can always shoot me a message on one of those platforms and send me a screenshot if you have a question about, hey, what do you think about this? I've been told I have a very discerning eye, so I get a lot of people that on Facebook especially will ask me what do I think about how they're setting up their substrate or their first run at putting their hardscape together. And I'll just be honest. I'll just give you my honest reaction, take it for what it is. Anyway, so you guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.